We'll just wait. Again, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. On behalf of the members of the Standing Committee on Executive Appointment and Government Investigation, would like to welcome Governor Torres, Representative Mr. Richard Balaris, the appointee Mr. Warren F. Villagomez, elected officials, dignitaries, and members of the general public. Before we put into our district rota, and to my left side of the aisle is Senator Carl King Neighbors from the 2nd Senatorial District in Ian. And I'm the chairman of this standing committee, Senator Francisco Q. Cruz from the 2nd Senatorial District in Ian. I would also like to announce a couple of things in the interest of informational purposes regarding code of conduct during this public hearing. Today, the members of this standing committee are conducting a public hearing on the appointment of Mr. Warren F. Villagomez to serve as a member of the Marianas Fisheries Authority to represent the 2nd Senatorial District in Ian. The public will be invited to make comments as to whether you support or oppose the appointee before us this afternoon. We value your input. However, any comments beyond the facts of the appointee or comments that are not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At the same time, please observe minimal noises in disrupting this hearing process. Please turn all your electronic to a silent mode. Thank you. Let us now begin. This public hearing is now in session. Today is August 25th, 2022, at approximately 4:02 in the afternoon, here at the Senate Chamber, Capitol Hill, Saipan. This is a public hearing regarding the appointment of Mr. Warren F. Villagomez by Governor Ralph De Longuer Torres to serve as a member of the Marianas Fisheries Authority to represent the island of Tinian pursuant to 4 CMC subsection 2111A. Mr. Devon Macoronas will be our clerk for this hearing. Mr. Benjamin Terlahi will be a sergeant at arms. Mr. Jonathan Diaz will be covering the IT, the legislature Facebook, and Saipan Cable TV. Mr. Jobo Moody's will be our legal counsel and will all serve accordingly. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Marquez to please call the roll.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz.
Here.
Senator Victor B. Hokog.
Here.
Senator Carl R. King Neighbors,
Here.
Senator Justo Esquitiguet, Senator Vinny F. Sablon. Mr. Chairman, 3 members are present, 2 members are absent.
Thank you, Clerk. With 3 members present, we have the necessary number to proceed with this public hearing. However, the Vice President of the Senate, Senator Justo Quirigua, and the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Vinny Sablon, were both excused for this public hearing. At this time, do I hear a motion to adopt agenda?
So move, Mr. Chairman. Second.
There's a motion for the adoption of today's public hearing agenda. I was seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to ask Sarge to please escort the appointee and the governor's rep into the chamber. And before you give this committee the introduction of the governor's appointee, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Buenas, Hafaday, good afternoon, Chairman Cruz, and the honorable members of this committee. For the record, my name is Richard Baleares, representative for the Office of the Governor. On behalf of Governor Ralph de Leon Guerrero Torres, I thank you for the opportunity to come and testify before you today. I am here to introduce the Governor's nominee for the Marianas Visitors Authority Board of Directors, Mr. Warren F. Villagomez. Mr. Villagomez is a respected professional with over 30 years of experience. His career started as a ticket and ramp agent for Freedom Air from 1990 to 1998, and at the same time was the assistant aircraft mechanic for Pacific Island Aviation from 1995 to 1996. He then served as the medical referral assistant for the Marianas Hawaii Liaison Office in Honolulu, Hawaii from 1997 to 2000, before becoming the trade technician for the Commonwealth Health Center from 2000 to 2002. He then became the compliance supervisor for the Marianas Public Lands Authority from 2002 to 2004, before becoming the archiving manager from 2004 to 2005, and the archiving division section chief from 2005 to 2006. He then was the community planner for the Office of the Lieutenant Governor from 2006 to 2007, before becoming the planner of the Hospital Preparedness Program and the Public Health Preparedness Program under the Department of Public Health from 2007 to 2010, before becoming the director of the Hospital Preparedness Program and the Public Health Preparedness Program under the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation in 2010, where he still serves that position in the present. At the same time, he also presently serves as the Director of Facilities and Maintenance for the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation since 2011. In addition, Mr. Villagomez has been appointed to serve on the Marianas Visitors Authority Board of Directors since 2018, the chairman of the Governor's COVID-19 Task Force, and a council member of the Governor's Council of Economic Advisors in 2020. Mr. Villagomez received his education in San Diego, California at Grossmont College from 1992 to 1993, and at Miramar College from 1993 to 1996, where he received his power plant certificate in aviation maintenance technology. Governor Torres places his full trust and confidence in Mr. Villagomez to continue to serve on the Marianas Visitors Authority Board of Directors. I know he stands ready to answer your questions and present his plans for the future. His long history of professional experience, credentials, and commitment to serving the Commonwealth in this capacity make him a viable candidate, and we kindly ask for your expeditious approval. Thank you, Jesus Masis and Giliso, for the opportunity to introduce him to this august body. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Ms. Baleares. Before I entertain the members of the public, I would like to ask Mr. Warren, I know that you submitted all required documents, but if you have anything else to share with this committee, you have the floor. Or, I'm sorry, I apologize. Can you please rise first so we can administer the oath? Thank you. Clerk.
Mr. Warren F. Villagomez, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Again, if you have anything else to share besides the required documents that you have submitted to this standing committee, you have the floor, but please state your name for the record before you proceed with your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Cruz, and good afternoon, members, Senator Hokuk and Senator Neighbors, and our members and family members in the gallery. Thank you. Yes, I do have a opening statement for this hearing. Good afternoon, Chairman Cruz, EAGI committee members, governor's representative, and everyone present today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my opening statement at this public hearing. I would like to thank Governor Ralph de Longuero Torres for reappointing me to another term as a member of Board of Directors of Marianas Visitors Authority representing the 2nd Senatorial District. I would also like to thank Mayor Aldan, Acting Mayor Joseph Santos, for their support during my tenure as MVA board member. In 2018, shortly after this Senate confirmed my first appointment to MVA, Super Typhoon U2 devastated the CNMI and shut down our tourism industry. Through many challenges, MVA worked with with Governor Torres, businesses and hotels, and all the stakeholders to start rebuilding our tourism infrastructure. In late 2019, businesses and hotels started opening their doors and visitors started coming to the CNMI again. But tourism didn't bounce back as quickly as we wanted. Then early 2020, COVID-19 pandemic once again shut down the CNMI borders, most of the world. Tourism completely stopped, and we've been struggling to jumpstart our tourism. One of MVA's biggest challenges is that tourists still fear getting the COVID-19 infection while traveling. The industry also faces labor shortages, inflation, high cost of airfare due to high cost of fuel worldwide. Tinian was the site of the first MVA annual signature event to return the following the shutdown of large public gatherings in early 2020. The 17th annual Tinian Hot Pepper Festival, also known as Pika Festival, was held in February 2021 for an enthusiastic general public longing for social events. Although international flights were still suspended, MVA proceeded with hosting the event to stimulate inter-island travel from Saipan, Rota, and Guam in support of local Tinian economy. Tinian Pika Festival also served as a pilot event for implementation of new COVID health and safety protocols developed under the leadership of CACC, CNMI Governor's COVID-19 Task Force. Overall, the Pika Festival provided an economic boost to the island's economy while preventing any spike in the number of COVID cases. The COVID-19 protocols implemented at the Tinian Pika Festival became the playbook for the following events organized by MVA. Since Pika Festival 2021, MVA has gradually been hosting its annual signature and other events, including the Taste of the Marianas. Tourists want to visit destinations with clean and safe environment, as well as pristine natural resources and rich cultural heritage. MVA promotes the CNMI as such destination. As a director of CACC Public Health and Hospital Emergency Preparedness Program, I understand how we can bring partnership with local federal counterparts, sharing resources and ideas to promote best practices, influence destination to improve our island's precious natural resources. Moving forward, MVA plans to increase the number of visitors from various destinations like South Korea by establishing more partnership and implementing better marketing strategies. MVA is also working diligently to boost the CNMI Japan visitors market with help of the United Airlines direct flights from Japan to Saipan. Strategizing with travel partners in Japan and the CNMI, we are also looking into tapping visitors markets such as Taiwan, Australia to boost our visitor members. MVA is looking at all possibilities, including promoting weekend getaways on Saipan for military families in the Marianas. There's still a lot of work to be done to rehabilitate our tourism industry, and it is our great importance that MVA must collaborate with all stakeholders to help the cinema economy bounce back from our economic decline. If confirmed, I will continue to work closely with my fellow board members, continue to initiate new ideas together to rehab and promote sustainable cinema tourism. I'm grateful for the opportunity to continue to serve as a board member. I humbly ask for your support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Villagomez. And before I entertain the members of the general public in the gallery, first I would like to recognize those entities that are invited to participate. First on the list, the Honorable Acting Mayor Chairman Joseph E. Santos. I know that he submitted let the record reflect that he submitted a written letter of support, and also a member of the 18th Tinian Municipal Council. However, any other member of the Tinian 18th Municipal Council that is here to deliver testimony in the gallery? Staff of the Municipal Council? No one? Okay, let the record reflect that no other members of the 18th Tinian Municipal Council, except for the letter of support from Chairman Santos. This time, we'd like to invite the Managing Director of the Marianas Visitors Authority, Ms. Priscilla M. Jacopo. And before you proceed, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Hafaday, Thiro Wami, good afternoon, Honorable Chairman Cruz and Honorable Committee members. My name is Priscilla Martita Jacopo. I am the Managing Director for the Marianas Visitors Authority. Thank you for providing the Marianas Visitors Authority an opportunity to provide a testimony for our current MVA Board of Director, Mr. Warren Villagomez. On behalf of the Marianas Visitors Authority management and staff, it is a pleasure to convey to you our full support for the reappointment of Mr. Warren Villagomez as a member of the MVA Board of Directors representing the island of Tinian. Mr. Villagomez was first appointed by Governor Torres in 2018, and since then, he has diligently carried out the duties and responsibilities as a board member. We welcome his continued service on the board. In addition to serving as an appointed representative of Tinian in MVA's board deliberations and decision-making, Mr. Villagomez has been an integral part of our response to COVID-19 over the last 2.5 years. As you know, Mr. Villagomez also serves as the chairman of the CNMI COVID-19 Task Force and the Director of Public Health and Hospital Emergency Preparedness of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation, helping to lead the policy and decision-making that has helped keep both our community and visitors safe. Having Mr. Villagomez as both a leader of the task force, CHCC, and on the MVA Board of Directors has allowed us to make strategic, sound, and when needed, rapid policies responding to changes with COVID-19, as COVID-19 has halted our tourism industry. Mr. Villagomez has been especially instrumental in the development and implementation of the CNMI Health Declaration Form, as the MVA played an integral part prior to the declaration form going digital. In addition, Mr. Villagomez played a critical role in the travel bubble enacted with South Korea with the CNMI Tourism Resumption Investment Plan that is slowly rebuilding our Marianas tourism economy. COVID-19 policies also allowed us to restart MVA signature events. As mentioned by the director, the 17th annual Tinian Hot Pepper Festival. That successful model served as a template for the following community events, even creating new ones such as the Hafaday Tiro Summer Jam. His guidance and expertise is still needed on our board, not only as COVID-19 continues to influence travel from our source markets, but the health and safety of our community. As I mentioned during the confirmation hearing of Director Agita Kitagwa earlier this year, Representation to both Tinian and Rhoda is critical on the board, especially as the MVA continues to raise awareness in our source market that we are not just Saipan, as many people have known us. We are the Marianas, a multi-island destination to include the Northern Islands. With the opening of the Marianas Southern Airways, we anticipate more domestic inter-island travel, and we will continue to work closely with the municipalities of Tinian and Rhoda in our annual signature events, site maintenance, destination enhancement, and other opportunities. Towards this goal, I ask for your favorable action on the reappointment of Director Villagomez. In closing, I would like to thank you for your continued partnership with the MVA in reviving and sustaining our tourism economy. We have received over 50 flights in the last month from South Korea. We will start 3 times weekly flights from Japan on September 1st, and we will continue to expand our markets and promote our destination as the livelihood of our community heavily relies on our tourism industry. Once again, I ask for your favorable action for the reappointment of Mr. Warren Villagomez. Si Zeus Masi, Olamoy, and thank you.
Thank you, Director. Members of the Board of Directors of MBA, anyone wishes to come forward? Please, sir, state your name before you proceed. Thank you.
Holiday and good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to come and express our support for the reappointment of our dear colleague and staunch champion of the Tinian seat. As mentioned by in Warren's speech and in Priscilla's comments, Warren wears multiple hats, one of them namely being his current role as the chairperson for the task force and his position at the hospital. Health and safety have always been a component for tourism, for a vibrant, healthy tourism destination, as tourists look for places that are safe, clean, reliably safe, clean, and moreover, healthy, a healthy community. And that's kind of been brought to the forefront. Over the last 2.5 years, my colleague here, Warren, has been an integral part of ensuring those components of tourism has been held steadfast and a top priority for the CNMI. He serves on the board with the interest of attracting tourists, but always at the forefront, keeping the safety of our community. He's been extremely instrumental in our success to not only create that travel bubble, but to also obtain certain advantages through our low COVID numbers and low deaths. And that's not just all his doing, certainly, but he's been a key and intricate part of making that happen. I'm here today to ask that you approve his reappointment. It's been a pleasure and an honor working alongside Mr. Villagomez, and we still have a lot of road to cover. We have a lot of efforts that are ongoing, and we still need his help on the board to help steer us back to recovery. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you please mention your name for the record?
I apologize. My name is Ivan Kitschel, MVA board member.
Thank you. Any other board member that wishes to come forward and deliver testimony? No one else? At this time, I would like to open the floor for the members of the general public who are in the gallery who wishes to come forward. But before I open for public comment, I would like again to remind everyone that any comment that is raised that are not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At this time, public comment is now open. Anyone? Before you proceed, ma'am, please state your name for the record. And I want everyone to know that if you wish to come forward, Either you're in support or not in support, you're welcome to come forward. And before you proceed, state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman and distinguished members of this committee. For the record, my name is Kimberlyn King Hines, and I'm here in my capacity as the chairwoman of the Commonwealth Ports Authority. And I'm here today to express my full support of the reappointment of Mr. Warren Villagomez to continue his service as a Tinian representative on the Marianas Visitors Authority. I want to start off by sharing a couple of things. Today, the Commonwealth Ports Authority is only generating 20% of the revenue it was collecting pre-pandemic. As you know, our operations are currently supported by federal funds, and the economists and industry experts predict that we will not see a normalization in tourism activity until sometime in 2024, possibly even 2025. CPA doesn't receive appropriations from the legislature to support our operations, so we operate like a business. And I think that that's a fact that needs to be emphasized. We generate our own revenues to support our operations and capital improvements not supported by federal grants. We've recently adopted a new rate methodology that will allow CPA to continue to be self-sustainable. Unfortunately, this will result in an increase in charges to our partners, which will be ultimately passed on to the traveling public, which is you and me. No one likes increases in rates and fees, but in the absence of a subsidy, that money has to come from somewhere. And that somewhere is a thriving tourism industry that will not only support CPA's operations, but all of the people who call the Marianas home. Now, over the course of these past 2 years, the Governor's Council of Economic Advisors through the leadership of Chairman Jerry Tan, the Marianas Visitors Authority, CPA, and industry stakeholders have been working collaboratively to generate tourism activity to include enticing new entries to the market. Last week, we saw a new inter-island service go online, and next week, we will welcome the arrival of direct flights from Japan after a long hiatus. This is good for the economy, but more importantly, it's good for our people as it will allow them to directly connect to other destinations, whether it be for leisure travel or medical emergencies. These new developments have been made possible by this administration's aggressive plans to jumpstart the resumption of our primary economic engine, which is tourism. Now, there's been some public outcry about MVAs and this administration's investment in our tourism industry. And the argument is that the money spent by MVA for incentives is better spent by giving that money directly to the pockets of the people. The problem with that argument is that it just takes money that's already here and just kind of washes it through the economy. It doesn't generate new revenue, and it doesn't work towards helping our primary economic engine recover and grow to support the long-term sustainability of our economy. We need people in MVA who understands the correlation between direct investments in tourism resumption activities and the long-term sustainability of our economy. Over the course of these past couple of years, I've had the privilege of working with the heart people at JSEA and at MVA to include their staff, management, and all of their board members, as we all strive to figure out how to jumpstart an economy that has been brought to a standstill as a result of the closure of our borders. And my hat's off to all of them because I know how difficult the task is. CPA's ability to remain self-sustainable is interdependent in their success to promote the industry here and abroad. MVA's success is all of our success. And one of the people that I've closely worked with is Mr. Warren Villagomez. Mr. Villagomez has had the hard task of not only being an MVA board member, but also the chairman of the Governor's CNMI COVID-19 task force. He's had to personally struggle with implementing policies that balance the need to protect the health and well-being of our people and the task of resuming our tourism industry, critical to ensuring that after we run out of ARPA funds, we have an economy that at a minimum can support basic government services, which include the health and safety of our community. We need people at MBA who understand how the economy works. We need people who are willing to work on building partnerships to find solutions. And I'm here this afternoon to personally attest that Warren is one of those people. Warren is a Tinian boy that has served our entire Commonwealth well. His accomplishment and services to our community, whether it be on MBA or keeping our community safe, speak for itself. And as a fellow Tinianese, I am proud to be here today to ask for your support of his confirmation to serve another term representing the island of Tinian on the MBA Board of Directors. Good afternoon, unsenda kluna si Zeus Masi.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Still open for public comment. Anyone else?
Buenas noches, Chairman Cruz, Honorable Senator Victor Holcook, Honorable Senator Carl Neighbors, members of the Committee of the Government of Appointment and Investigation. My name is Andrew Lohan Orsini, and I'm currently a member of the State Board of Education. I'm here in favor of the renomination of Mr. Warren F. Villagomez as a member of the Board of Directors for the Marinas Visitors Authority. I just want to attest to the committee that Mr. Villagomez has worked diligently well as the COVID task force chairperson in dealing with the pandemic that we had gone through. And of course, in guidance through the Commissioner of Education, had been doing a lot of effort in trying to protect our students and school children as well. And now that we're just kind of like going over now the pandemic, this is more of a task now that to rebuild and revise our tourism, our economy as far as Commonwealth together as a whole. And I believe that Mr. Villagomez will do very well in his part for this reappointment as a member of the Director of Board of Marinas Visitors Authority. I believe that his background is pretty extensive. Knowledge of aviation. Of course, he doesn't fly planes, but he's very well knowledge of how the planes are, and these planes are doing well with bringing our tourists into our economy. So with that, I believe that right now this is the mainstay that we have. Time is of the essence to try to rebuild our economy together, and I hope that the committee will consider his reappointment to the MVA board as justly sound to what the appointment is made for him. So again, Sidus Masi, members of the committee, I hope that you can reconsider and consider his appointment to the MVA board as it is. Thank you.
Cesar Masi, sir. Still open for public comment.
Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Gary Sort from KKMP Radio, member of the public, private sector. I've worked with this man through Soldalore, through U2, and now through the pandemic to get information out to the people. I don't know if he sleeps because we get, email like 2:00 in the morning, but he's always awake, and you leave him a message, he always returns a message, which is hard found in a lot of our government workers. You send them a message, wait, maybe 2, 3, except for Senator Hoku is very good at it. But it's so important to get the correct information to the people. Otherwise, the people will start to believe in rumors and things that are not happening. But when I text him, can you confirm this? Yes, I get the message back. Within 5 minutes, we get a message back. So we need these type of people in the Marianas Business Authority because tourism is our only business. And as you heard from Priscilla and also from the chairwoman for the CPA, that we need the tourists to come. And the fastest way to get this done is to have knowledgeable people like Warren that are in the MBA board that are also connected to the COVID task force and also connected to the economic task force that is ongoing. And this man wears many hats. I feel sorry for Antoinette. I don't know what time he comes home, but I'm sure once in a while, Weekends you get off. And Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I strongly support this man. I believe in him, and I believe that he'll do a very, very good and the MVA board for another term, as he has done in his first term. And besides, he's from Tinian. Nothing bad comes from Tinian. Good people come from Tinian, right? Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Swart. Still open for public comment?
Good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and Senator Hawcock, Senator Neighbor. My name is Jerry Tan. I'm here as the co-chairman of Governor's Council of Economic Advisor. I know Warren very well. I served with him at the MVA board for 2 years until my term expired and I left the board in 2020. So I have the pleasure of serving with him alongside with the other board members at MVA. And I cannot agree more with what the previous speakers, Priscilla, Ivan, Kimberly, and Gary. I agree 100% of everything they stated. I don't want to repeat the same thing. I very excited after I left the board, or shortly before I left the board, I actually have the pleasure to serve until today at the Governor's Council of Economic Advisor, because Warren is one of the 15 council members. And you can imagine, we started the Economic Council at the beginning of the pandemic. And the mission of the council is try to look into ways to revive the economy. And how do you revive the economy when the border is closed? So there's a lot of challenges. And Warren, being the chairman of the COVID task force, you could imagine during that timeline, as Gary said, I don't know if he ever sleep. But he comes to our meeting every month, every single month. Sometimes he will show up an hour late because of the COVID task force meeting. But he never missed a single meeting. And he's one of the most important speakers at the council, especially at that time. Until today, we're still very worried about COVID. And we rely on Warren's information that he shared at the council meeting in guiding us on how do we even start the conversation and the planning to talk about revival of our economy, which is completely shut down at that time. So I have very, very high respect for Warren. I've said to him even in the past, not jokingly, Warren, every time I look like I'm joking with you, I'm not joking with you. I really have a lot of respect for you because of the professionalism and the seriousness that he brings every day to work, because I can feel he genuinely cares for the people, especially when he's wearing the hat, which is a very, very difficult hat to wear, the chairman of the COVID task force, which is full of uncertainty, to say the least. And I'm so glad that Governor Torres decided to reappoint Warren to another term. And I'm here to fully support Warren for this reappointment. And I also want to share that not too long ago, just about 2 months ago, we had a very successful Pacific mini games. One of my hats is I'm the president of the Northern Mariana Sports Association, which is the host country of the mini games. And the comment we get from over 1,200 visitors from 19 countries, they came in mainly on 6 charter flights as far as Tahiti, which is a 10 hours one-way flight. They said we were the best host ever. They said this is the best game ever. And they truly enjoy not just the competition, but they really, really enjoy every minute that they spend on the island during competition or during their break time. And I spoke with many athletes from different countries, including their respective head. And Marianas Visitor Authority has done a very good job in partnering with our game organizing committee in preparing for this very difficult game that we have to host during COVID period. And I want to acknowledge again COVID Task Force for giving the mini games the guideline and the guidance that we were able to be a very, very good host and welcome again over 1,200 visitors for almost 2 weeks. So I want to also acknowledge that. So I hope and ask for your full support for the reappointment of Warren for another term to represent the island of Tinian at MVA board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. Still open for public comment?
Good afternoon, Chairman Cruz, Senator Hokuk, Senator Neighbors. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Alex Sablon. I'm Vice President of TAN Holdings Corporation, Corporate Business Development, as well as a member of the Governor's Council of Economic Advisors, of which Warren Villagomez serves as a member, as you've heard. As Jerry mentioned, I'm not going to repeat everything that everybody laid out. I 100% agree as well with everybody's comments, but I do want to state that I think that Warren's position as an MVA board member, but also as the COVID Task Force chairman and his role at the CHCC, I think is integral in the fact that it was brought to in a timeline where nobody had a playbook on how to handle the pandemic. We're hoping, knock on wood, that we never see one again. But from all discussions and indications, it's not a matter of if, but when it happens again. And I think having his expertise, and again, the fact that there was no playbook, the fact that, as you've heard, and as everyone has alluded to, his hard work, tenacity, kind of was with them in the beginning of the COVID pandemic, seeing him and the GAR, and thanking the governor for his efforts, along with the legislature, everybody coming together. But the leadership that was laid out by Mr. Villagomez as the overall chairman, and keeping us completely safe and over the timeline that we dealt with this pandemic, is real and true leadership, and commend him and everybody that was involved in that timeline. But I also want to talk about the fact that we were many firsts in the Commonwealth. We were the first territory, United States entity, really in the region, to open up and provide for a travel bubble, basically the TRIP program. And that's integral in the communication that CHCC, the COVID Task Force, the governor, again, through leadership of Mr. Villagomez, in having those discussions with the health minister in Korea and the CNMI, and historic firsts about having the only travel bubble open and available to this region, to the CNMI, and keeping the economy going as best we could. I think, as we all recall, the Commonwealth really never shut down. We had, yes, limitations in certain timelines. We had periods in which we had to hold people at bay, but the economy never really shut down. And that, again, is a testament to Mr. Villagomez and the COVID Task Force effort in understanding the conditions and the impact that we would have if we had shut down the Commonwealth completely. But going back to the bubble, this effort has put roughly 5,500 people to work in the initial timeline. There's an economic report that establishes this. The opportunity of reopening as quickly as we can and keeping open. And to other members, that Ivan Kitchus's comment about going forward and moving with other source markets. This is only an effort that puts forward this collaboration. And again, having the expertise on the MVA board in Mr. Villagomez's role at CACC and as the COVID task force chairman, I think only complements the overall effect of ensuring we're making the sound decisions going forward. And so I sit here and ask for your vote of confidence and ask for Mr. Villagomez to be allowed to sit for another term in the MVA board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sablon. Still open for public comment. Anyone else? Once we close public comment, we will not go back to public comment. No one else? At this time, public comment is now closed. I would like to ask the clerk to please acknowledge those letters that are submitted.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Senate EHI Committee, Mr. Villagomez, and members of the general public, in addition to the oral testimonies received today on the executive appointment of Mr. Warren F. Villagomez to serve as a member on the Marianas Visitors Authority Board of Directors, please be advised of 8 additional written testimonies officially received in support of the appointee from Honorable David M. Apateng, Mayor of the Municipality of Saipan, Thomas Liu, member of the Marianas Visitors Authority Board of Directors, Gloria Kavanaugh, member of the Marianas Visitors Authority Board of Directors, Honorable Edwin P. Aldon, Mayor of the Municipality of Tinian and Aguiguan, Honorable Joseph E. Santos, Chairman of the 18th Tinian Municipal Council, Matthew C. Mosca, Head of the Tinian COVID-19 Task Force and Senior Policy Advisor for the Office of the Mayor of Tinian and Aguiguan, Agata Tovis Kitagua Manglonia, member of the MVA Board of Directors, and Viola Alapuzo, chairperson of the MVA Board of Directors. At this time, no written testimony in opposition to the appointment of the appointee has been received by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Marcoranas. At this time, I would like to entertain the members of this standing committee to raise question or concern in regards to the appointment of Mr. Warren F. Villagomez. At this time, I would like to recognize from the island of Tinian, Senator Carl King Nevers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank you to everyone who has made the time to be here today. We apologize for the delays. Most especially, thank you to you, Mr. Villagomez, for accepting the nomination. To those who don't know, I've spent the better part of the last 6 years working with Mr. Villagomez in different capacities. And one of the things that were said today was your willingness to help in my capacity there at the Tinian Health Center during the U2 response. You, along with CEO Ms. Muña, were always there, were ready and willing to help and provide logistical support to our health center, to the staff, in many different ways. Also, with regards to the COVID-19, as was mentioned earlier, I'm not sure that it can be said enough how critical your participation and your knowledge as chairperson of the task force plays in how we chart a path forward with regards to tourism in the Marianas. There's been a lot of naysayers or a lot of critics with regards to different things that you, the Economic Council, the MVA board members have implemented over the past 2 years. But I see the value, the long-term value in the efforts that you guys have put in, from the trip program to whether it be the deer meat for dinner. I don't know that you can quantify the value and the outside of the box thinking and approach that you and your colleagues have taken to keep Tinian and the Marianas and Rhoda and Saipan and the Northern Islands in the sphere, in the idea of a destination in the middle of a pandemic. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions. I would just like to say thank you on behalf of the people of Tinian and the CNMI for your continued efforts to keep us moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Neighbors. Now I would like to recognize the Vice Chairman of the Standing Committee, Senator Victor B. Hokuk from the island of Rota.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to family members that are here today to witness the reappointment of Mr. Warren Villagomez to serve again for another term to the MVA Board of Directors. I don't have a question to you, Warren, but I can safely say also that, you know, I am very thankful for the governor to seriously look into your reappointment to serve again under the Marianas Visitors Authority, and most especially you accepting your renomination. You have brought before you during your public hearing heavy batters of public comments from different areas. And public comments coming from MBA itself, CPA, Board of Education. You know that MVA is the seats of the Marianas to drive our economic opportunity and development. And working collaboratively with CPA, we all knew that CPA is the key economic entry to ensure development of our Commonwealth. Having to work with this agency brings also MBA assets to ensure and induce more opportunity, you know, to outreach areas that we can consider their tourism coming to the CNMI. And with your credibility, not only as MBA, you have provide MBA a landmark of opportunity to clear the obstacles while we're still under the midst of the pandemic era. And I think your continued presence with working with MBA as a board of director will definitely enhance more opportunities, not only to the present market region, but perhaps another region will be looking into our CNMI for the fact that we have had a good system in allowing them to enter our border. And just for the information of MBA, what we do see Korean Air and tourism from Korea start to come in. Now we are reviving again the Japanese tourism. In my last week meeting, we have with PAL, the Philippine airline. There is a great opportunity again to look into another market area coming from Australia. As what one of the public comments mentioned, Australia as maybe a potential a clientele for tourism industry coming to the CNMI. So Philippine Airline may be opening again their flights direct from Manila to Saipan. And I've asked this question whether they do have a direct flight from Manila to Australia, in which their answer is yes. So I guess there is an opportunity to also provide that accessibility and convenience for Australian flying direct from or connecting flight from Australia, Philippines, and the CNMI. And that again will give us another opportunity to increase our tourism industry. As we all can witness in the past during the pandemic, that when our border is shut down, we see, the helplessness of our Commonwealth in generating substantial revenue to even cater, its own personnel serving the people in different parts of the government. And and that's why now it is very critical that we support the Marianas Visitors Authority to continue to promote and encourage opportunity for tourism to visit the cinema. And when there is a direct flight from elsewhere, either from Japan, Korea, Australia, coming directly from there to Saipan, there's always an opportunity to breach the next senatorial district for increase of tourist attraction as well. And my concern when you're confirmed is to work with your other colleagues in the board and see how we can provide another promotion to induce tourism interest to visit the island of Tinian and Rhoda, and even on the northern side of the Marianas, which is Palgan or elsewhere in the northern island. I wish we are in session for your confirmation today, and I am very confident that having experience to serve MBA in the past 4 years, and now with your reappointment will and the experience that you and the other board members during this pandemic, you have already MBA board of directors also, as well as your COVID task force are readily equipped with how to navigate, you know, uh, not necessarily closing a border, but to navigate opportunities so that the continuity of opening a border can still, in at work. And I wish I can answer. I can ask you a more critical question, but like I said, you are one of the key asset also to MBA moving forward with our still unclear situation about our COVID pandemic no experiencing at this point in time. But unlike other areas, you still have to wear masks when you're going into hotel and restaurant. And us here now it's an option whether you want to wear your mask or not, and that is because of your your ability to ensure also to meet the preventive measures equally to our people as well as to our tourism passengers coming in and out to the cinema. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I just make that statement and not a question other than to ask MBA, asking Warren about the possibility of another market that we will be seeing very soon. And I hope that you can discuss this with other colleagues to see if we can open a market if this will happen. I know that MBA is pending some promotional, activities in Korea and Japan. and I'm not quite sure where we are with the Chinese market today. Is it shut down or what? So, but before I leave you, you really still want to serve MVA, no? Okay. Because we don't want to be talking and then at the end you say you don't want to serve. No? Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Villagomez and Mr. Chairman. I yield for now.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And again, Mr. Villagomez, good afternoon. And first of all, I would like to express also my sincere gratitude for keeping the CNMI safe with the responsibility, the huge responsibility that you are tasked to lead the CNMI task force with the unprecedented pandemic. And we're very fortunate that there is not a lot of fatality in regards to COVID-19 compared to other jurisdiction. I appreciate that. And actually, I don't have any question, but the only thing that I will ask you is not in regards to MVA, but the speakers that are spoken earlier, that how did you able to handle all this responsibility, at public health, being the director for public health and being the lead person for COVID-19 task force, and being also member of the Governors Economic Advisory Council and MVA. And I'm very, it really, it's overwhelming having or knowing someone that can accept another huge responsibility. And the committee are looking for individuals who are appointed with commitment and devotion on such responsibility that are appointed by the governor. And we continue to to encourage whichever appointment or the governor sent to us. We want to make sure that the commitment and the determination, devotion that the person will carry that particular responsibility. Because at the end of the day, if the individual did not perform as what the people expecting, all the blame comes to this body. That's why I'm very, appreciative that although you have a lot of huge responsibility in you, I don't know how your wife and your family, if how they handle that. I know that most of the time you stick to the job. It's just like a law enforcement that you do your job, you only come home when it's bedtime, and the rest of the day you do your job. And I commend you for that, for committing yourself to serve the general public, most especially the island of Tinian. And I continue to appreciate, although you're living in the island of Saipan, but you never forget about Tinian, especially supporting all those signature events that brings economic prosperity to the island. Although some small businesses are also, are being, they are able to, to, even though the vendors are just a small vendors, but at least they can be able to, to earn money, and with this signature event. And I ask that in the coming future, I know that it was discussed in Rhoda, the potential of tourism for the island of Tinian because of the military activity that probably is not it's not the same as here in Saipan. But I continue to ask that although there's a military economic activity, military activity, let's look at that, because I know that the original proposal of the military activities is downsized. It's no longer what we expect of the CDMT, that it's going to be a high impact range, but it was reduced, and because of the the discussion of the leadership of Tinian and as well as the entire leadership of the Commonwealth that we try as much as possible to not to make an issue for the tourists to come to the island of Tinian. So I ask that I know that whenever I mention about representation of appointment, you're not only representing the island of Tinian but the entire Sinamay. And I ask that you work together with the other sitting members if you're given the blessing by this body, and especially the managing director. I believe that teamwork is the best that can make things happen. Although it's a lot of challenges, but it will overcome those challenges as you all work together as one for the entire Sinamay. So that's the only question that I ask, not your performance or the one that you are representing the island of Tinian South. You're very energetic, and I hope that you continue to put that interest and continue to serve Tinian and the entire Sinamay. So with that, I have no other question to raise. Any members wishes to, or are you guys ready to proceed with the agenda?
Ready, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. At this time, all public comments are well taken. Let the record reflect there are also written testimonies submitted from individuals in support of the appointee before this committee and will be included in the Senate Standing Committee recommendation report, along with all oral testimonies received today, to be forwarded before the full Senate members in consideration for confirmation or rejection. At this time, before we adjourn, I would like to extend on behalf of the members of this Standing Committee our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Governor Rolf D. Longre Torres, Representative Mr. Richard Valaris, the appointee, Mr. Warren E. Villagomez, and most especially the members of the general public for your participation and involvement during this important public hearing process. And we certainly hope that we continue this dialogue of communication between us, the elected officials, and the public to keep you abreast and informed of our current and future Senate hearings ahead that relates to public best interest. This concludes this public hearing for today. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn today's EAGI public hearing, subject to the call of the chairman. So moved.
Any second?
Second.
There's a motion on the floor for adjournment and was seconded. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. This public hearing is officially adjourned. Undang Kluna si Susmasi.